Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the wild world of college football playoffs, and trust me, this is gonna be a ride you don't want to miss. So, if you're ready to laugh, cry, or question the very essence of your existence as a college football fan, then hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and let's get into it. Ohio State's blowout over Tennessee. What just happened? Okay. Let's talk about that blowout win Ohio State delivered to Tennessee. If you missed it, don't worry, you're not alone. The Buckeyes took Tennessee to school. And by school, I mean a 42-17 crushing defeat that made all of us sit up and say, well, that escalated quickly. But seriously, Ohio State had us all asking two major questions. Why couldn't they play like this against Michigan? Are they back to being the favorites to win the national title? Now, let's break down this wild game and try to answer these burning questions. Ohio State's performance was a masterclass in what they can do when they actually show up. The offense was clicking, the defense was ferocious, and honestly, Tennessee was just a casualty of Ohio State firing on all cylinders. Ohio State's first half, pure dominance. Let me paint a picture for you. Ohio State had its first punt with 4 minutes left in the second quarter. That's right, folks. Tennessee didn't even get to see the ball much. Meanwhile, Tennessee's first completed pass didn't come until 6 minutes into the second quarter. At that point, the game was already 21-0 in Ohio State's favor. And all the Tennessee fans in the stands, those poor, shivering souls braving wind chills below 20 degrees, were left wondering what the heck just happened. You could almost hear the collective groan from all the Tennessee fans thinking, was this really worth the trip? Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka, the dynamic duo, were on fire, racking up 11 catches and nearly 200 yards between them. You think the Vols were prepared for that? Absolutely not. They were getting torched like a marshmallow at a campfire. And don't even get me started on Ohio State's defense, which had Tennessee's freshman QB Nico Iamaleava running for his life all night. It was like watching a cat chase a laser pointer. But the cat was a big, hungry Buckeye and the laser was a struggling Iamaleava. Ryan Day's aggressive game plan. Here's the thing, though, Ohio State didn't just win. They asserted dominance in a way that had even Ryan Day, the coach, giving credit to his team for calling a much more aggressive game plan than we've seen before. After this win, the Ryan Day pressure cooker went from boiling to less boiling. But let's be real, there's still some heat on him after the Michigan debacle. But that's a story for another day. Day himself said it best, "You're defined by the way you handle adversity in life." And this was a massive adversity they were facing after the Michigan loss. The way Ohio State came out swinging sent a message that they're not done yet. What's next? A wild rematch against Oregon. Alright, hold on to your hats because things are about to get even crazier. Ohio State's next opponent? The Oregon Ducks, who are coming in hot after their thrilling win over the Buckeyes in October. You remember that, right? Oregon 32, Ohio State 31, and I'm not talking about a field goal win. No, we're talking about a heart-pounding finish that left Ohio State fans crying in their cereal. But now, 3 months later, Ohio State has a chance to redeem themselves. And trust me, this rematch is going to be a doozy. These two teams are a national title contender and a talent powerhouse, respectively, so you know it's going to be a showdown for the ages. The format controversy. Why are they meeting so early? Here's the catch, though. Should these two teams really be facing off so early in the 12-team playoff? Ohio State, ranked number 6, is facing number 1 Oregon in the quarterfinals. And we have to ask, is that fair? Because let's be honest, the playoff format this year is, well, a little wonky. The playoff system seeds the 4 highest-ranked conference champions as the top 4 seeds, which, while good for conference champs, throws the entire ranking system out of whack. This means teams like Ohio State, number 6 in the rankings, are getting stuck with teams like Oregon, number 1. And that's not ideal for the integrity of the tournament. The bigger question here, is the 12-team format really working? Or is it just making things more complicated than they need to be? Maybe we need to consider a better seeding system for future playoffs. A roundup of the other first-round games. No upsets here. Now, let's quickly talk about the other first-round games. Spoiler alert, there were no surprises. It was all chalk, meaning the higher-seeded teams won. Here's a quick breakdown. The ACC champion was knocked out by the SEC runner-up. The Big Ten's third-best team took down the SEC's third-best team. Notre Dame cruised past the Big Ten's fourth-best team. It was basically a bloodbath of blowouts, with the winners putting up a combined 145 points and the losers only managing to score 68. Does this mean teams like SMU and Indiana didn't deserve a spot in the playoff? Maybe, but the gap between the elite teams and the good teams was pretty obvious after these lopsided victories. Can Boise State and Arizona State spoil the party? But here's where it gets interesting. Boise State and Arizona State are both underdogs that could make a major impact. These teams, ranked number 9 and number 12, are facing off against Texas and Penn State, and let's just say they've got a lot of people rooting for them. If they can pull off the upsets, they'll make history and show the world that even underdogs can run with the big dogs. Looking ahead, Ohio State versus Oregon, the ultimate showdown. As we move toward the quarterfinals, we can't help but get excited about the Rose Bowl matchup between Ohio State and Oregon. This is what we were all hoping for, an epic game that could end up being a preview of the national championship. For Ohio State, this is a redemption story in the making. For Oregon, it's about proving that their win in October wasn't just a fluke. No matter who wins, this game is shaping up to be an absolute classic. And there you have it, folks. That's your breakdown of the first round of the college football playoff. Let me know what you think. Who do you have winning the rematch? Ohio State or Oregon? Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Who are you rooting for? Until next time, keep your helmets on and your snacks ready. We've got more playoff madness ahead. Thanks for watching, everyone. Catch you in the next video. And remember, keep cheering for your team, unless they're playing Ohio State. See ya. Hey, football fans, welcome back to the channel. Are you ready to break down the biggest surprises and takeaways from the college football playoffs first round? Well, buckle up because we've got some serious blowouts to talk about. I mean, Texas just wrecked Clemson, and honestly, the whole weekend felt like watching a heavyweight fight where one fighter was just too powerful to lose. Before we dive into the nitty-gritty, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest playoff action and more. Share this video with your friends who love football. And let's break down why these games went exactly the way they did. 1. Texas versus Clemson. A pattern that's starting to emerge. Alright, let's talk about the biggest game of the weekend, Texas versus Clemson. Now, Clemson fans, I'm not here to rub it in, but I gotta be real. Texas just dominated this game in a way that's becoming almost too familiar in these college football playoff matchups. And when I say dominated, I mean it was like watching a high school kid face off against a toddler in a tug-of-war competition. Sure, Cade Klubnik tried to make it interesting. I'll give him credit, he's a competitor and kept fighting, even making it a one-score game early in the fourth. But let's be real here. The moment Clemson got to the Texas 5-yard line and faced a critical 3rd and goal, the writing was on the wall. Texas stuffed 3 straight rushes. And that was basically game over. 38-24 Texas advances to the quarterfinals. And I don't think anyone was really shocked. But here's the thing. This game followed a familiar pattern that we saw in the first round of the expanded college football playoff. Think about it. Penn State blew out SMU 38-10. Notre Dame cruised past Indiana 27-17. And Ohio State gave Tennessee a 42-17 beatdown. This is turning into a trend, people, and it's all about winning the line of scrimmage. 2. Why all these blowouts? The secret sauce, offensive and defensive lines. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, wait, these teams look like juggernauts. Why's the competition so one-sided? Let me break it down. It's because of one simple thing, dominant line play. Forget the flashy QB plays, the bomb throws, and the highlight catches. It all starts in the trenches. And in this first round, the teams that dominated up front ran the show. Let's talk about Texas for a second. On offense, they just bullied Clemson's defensive line. Texas ran for 292 yards to 292 yards. Are you kidding me? Jaden Blue had those 2 insane touchdown runs of 77 and 38 yards. Meanwhile, Clemson? 76 rushing yards total. I mean, how are you supposed to win when you get pushed around like that? But it's not just about the run game, it's also about the defensive line. Texas's defensive front absolutely lived in Clemson's backfield, pressuring Cade Klubnik on almost every single snap. If you watched the game, you saw Klubnik running for his life and getting sacked left and right. Texas's defensive line showed exactly what happens when you control the game from up front. And it wasn't just Texas. Look at Notre Dame against Indiana. They outrushed the Hoosiers 193-63. Penn State did the same thing to SMU with 185 yards to 58. Even Ohio State, which crushed Tennessee, had the same recipe for success: 4 sacks, consistent pressure, and completely neutralizing Tennessee's offense. 3. The College Football Playoff Committee's dilemma: selecting the right teams. Here's where it gets interesting. The College Football Playoff Committee has a tough job. They're the ones who decide who gets in. And with a 12-team playoff coming soon, you'd think this would be easier. Right? Wrong. In the first round, the committee's picks looked questionable when you see how easily some teams were dominated. Now, I'm not trying to bash on Indiana and SMU, but come on. Clemson had more pedigree than both of them, and they got rolled by Texas. And don't get me started on those 2-3-loss SEC teams. Alabama, Ole Miss, and South Carolina. They didn't get into the playoff. But let's be honest, if you put them in against these teams, would they have done better in the trenches? Probably. I mean, Alabama's offensive and defensive lines are typically top tier. Ole Miss has been solid. And South Carolina had a tough schedule but could have matched up physically in these kinds of games. It's a tough pill to swallow for fans of those teams, especially when you see how much line play was a factor in these first-round blowouts. 4. The importance of line play in college football. Here's the deal. In modern football, especially with all the flashy spread offenses and air raid systems, we sometimes forget about the basics, and the basics are line play.